Stay alone, not because you are weak, but because most people are distractions. Right now, your mind is not tired because life is hard. It's tired because it is constantly exposed to noise, opinions, expectations, conversations, comparisons. You are surrounded, but not focused. Connected, but not in control. And that is why you feel stuck. But here's the truth most people avoid. You will never master yourself in a crowd. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Even as an emperor surrounded by thousands, he still withdrew into solitude to train his mind. Because real power is not built in noise. It is built in silence. In this video, you'll discover why staying alone, strategically, can build discipline, strengthen your mind, and make you emotionally independent. Watch till the end, because one of these points will completely change how you see loneliness forever. And if you want more powerful Stoic lessons like this, subscribe now, because this is where you train your mind to become unstoppable. 1. Solitude reveals who you really are. Here's the first truth about staying alone. Solitude exposes you. When you're around people, it's easy to hide. You distract yourself with conversations. You escape into entertainment. You avoid facing your own thoughts. But when you're alone, there's no escape, no noise, no distraction, no validation, just you and your mind. And for most people, that's uncomfortable, because when silence comes, so do the thoughts they've been avoiding. Doubts, fears, insecurities. That's why many people constantly seek company, not because they enjoy it, but because they're running from themselves. But here's the shift. Solitude is not the problem. Avoidance is. Marcus Aurelius used solitude as a mirror, a place to reflect, correct, and strengthen his thinking. Because when you sit alone and observe your thoughts, you begin to understand yourself. What triggers you? What weakens you? What controls you? And once you see it clearly, you can change it. Now here's the deeper truth. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. And you cannot face yourself if you are always distracted. Solitude forces honesty. It strips away the mask. It reveals your habits, your mindset, your patterns. And that's where growth begins. So instead of running from being alone, start using it. Sit in silence. Observe your thoughts without reacting. Question your patterns. Because the more you understand yourself, the more control you gain. And once you gain control over yourself, you no longer need constant distraction to feel okay. You become stable, focused, strong. And that is the beginning of self-mastery. For point 2, this one will show you how solitude builds discipline faster than anything else. 2. Solitude builds discipline faster than anything else. Here's something most people will never realize. Discipline is easiest to build when you are alone. Because when you're constantly around people, your behavior is influenced. You adjust to their habits. You follow their pace. You get pulled into distractions. And without noticing it, you lose control over your own routine. But when you are alone, everything becomes clear. There are no excuses, no one to impress, no one to blame. It's just you and your choices. And that's where discipline is born. Marcus Aurelius didn't rely on external motivation or social pressure to stay disciplined. He trained himself internally through self-control, structure, and consistency. Because he understood, true discipline is what you do when nobody is watching. Think about it. Anyone can act focused in public. Anyone can look productive around others. But when you're alone, that's the real test. Do you stay consistent? Or do you fall into distraction? Do you follow your routine? Or do you break it when no one sees? That moment defines your growth. Now here's the deeper truth. Your habits are shaped in private, but revealed in public. If you waste time when you're alone, you'll struggle when it matters. But if you train yourself in solitude, you become powerful everywhere. So instead of fearing being alone, use it as your training ground. Wake up and build your routine without needing motivation. Work on your goals without needing validation. Stay consistent without needing accountability from others. Because once you can rely on yourself, you become unstoppable. No environment can control you. No situation can weaken you, because your discipline comes from within, not from outside. And that is rare. So don't waste your alone time. Use it. Train in silence. Build in private. Because one day, that discipline will show up in everything you do. 4.3. This one will reveal how being alone protects your energy and sharpens your focus like never before. 3. Solitude protects your energy and sharpens your focus. Here's a truth most people underestimate. Your energy is constantly being drained, and you don't even notice it. Every conversation, every notification, every unnecessary interaction, it takes something from you. And when your energy is scattered, your focus disappears. That's why you feel busy, but not productive. Surrounded, but not progressing. But when you step into solitude, something powerful happens. Your energy returns. Your mind becomes quiet. Your focus sharpens. Marcus Aurelius understood that attention is one of the most valuable assets a person has. That's why he protected his inner world from constant noise and distraction. Because he knew, what you give your attention to controls your life. Now think about this. How much of your day is spent reacting instead of focusing? Scrolling, replying, listening to things that don't matter. And by the end of the day, you feel drained, with nothing meaningful done. That's not a lack of ability. That's a lack of protected energy. Now here's the deeper truth. You cannot build a powerful life with a distracted mind. And distraction thrives in noise. But in solitude, there is no noise, no interruptions, no pressure to respond, just clarity. And in that clarity, you can finally think deeply, work intentionally, move with purpose. So instead of constantly seeking connection, start creating space. Distance yourself from unnecessary conversations. Reduce distractions that don't serve your growth. Guard your attention like it matters, because it does. Because once your energy is focused, your actions become sharper. Your decisions become better. Your progress becomes faster. And over time, you separate yourself from people who are always busy, but never moving forward. So protect your energy, respect your focus, and use solitude as your advantage. Because in a world full of noise, silence is power. 4.4. This one will challenge how you see loneliness and turn it into your greatest strength. 4. Loneliness is a weakness until you turn it into strength. Let's be honest. Most people are afraid of being alone, not because solitude is painful, but because they don't know how to handle it. They call it loneliness. They feel empty, restless, disconnected, so they rush back to noise, people, distractions, anything to avoid that feeling. But here's the truth. Loneliness is not about being alone. It's about not being comfortable with yourself. Marcus Aurelius didn't fear solitude. He embraced it. Because he trained his mind to find strength within, not from external validation. And that's the shift most people need. Because when you depend on others to feel okay, you become emotionally weak. You need constant attention, constant interaction, constant reassurance. And without it, you feel lost. But when you learn to be alone and still feel complete, everything changes. Now here's the deeper truth. The same solitude that feels like loneliness at first becomes power when you understand it. At the beginning, it's uncomfortable. You sit in silence, and your mind starts racing. You feel the urge to check your phone, to talk to someone, to escape. But if you stay with it, something shifts. You begin to enjoy your own presence. You start thinking clearly, reflecting deeply, understanding yourself better. And over time, you no longer fear being alone. You prefer it. Because now, solitude is not emptiness. It's clarity. It's peace. It's strength. So stop labeling it as loneliness. Start using it as training. Because the moment you become comfortable alone, you stop chasing people. You stop depending on validation. You stop settling for distractions. And you start living with intention. That's when you become emotionally independent. And emotional independence is one of the highest forms of strength. 4.5. This one will show you how solitude helps you break free from comparison and finally focus on your own path. 5. Solitude frees you from comparison and clarifies your path. Here's something silently holding most people back. You're not lost, you're distracted by other people's lives. When you're constantly around others, or constantly consuming what they're doing, you begin to compare their success, their progress, their lifestyle, and without realizing it, you start questioning your own path. Am I behind? Am I doing enough? Am I good enough? That mental noise kills your confidence. It weakens your focus, and it pulls you away from your purpose. But when you step into solitude, comparison disappears. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to be distracted by what others were doing, because he understood this. Your path is yours, and yours alone. Now think about it. When you're alone, there's no one to measure yourself against, no one to impress, no one to compete with, just you and your direction. And in that space, clarity begins to form. You start asking better questions. What do I actually want? What matters to me? What kind of life am I building? Those questions are powerful because they shift your focus inward. Now here's the deeper truth. Comparison creates pressure. Solitude creates clarity. When you compare, you rush. You force things. You chase goals that may not even be yours. But in solitude, you slow down. You think deeply. You align your actions with your true purpose. And when your path is clear, your decisions become easier. Your focus becomes stronger. Your progress becomes intentional. So stop looking sideways. Stop measuring your life against others. Step back, be alone, and reconnect with your own direction. Because the moment you stop comparing, you finally start moving forward with confidence. And that's when real growth begins. 4.6. This one will reveal how solitude builds emotional independence and makes you unshakable. 6. Solitude builds emotional independence and makes you unshakable. Here's a hard truth most people don't want to face. If your peace depends on other people, you are not in control of your life. If someone ignores you, you feel it. If someone criticizes you, you react. If someone leaves, you break. That's not strength. That's dependence. And most people live like this without realizing it. But solitude changes that. When you spend time alone, consistently, intentionally, you begin to disconnect your emotional state from other people. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to remain steady, regardless of how others behaved, because he understood your emotions should not be controlled by external events. Now here's the shift. When you are always surrounded by people, your emotions are constantly influenced. You react to moods. You adjust to expectations. You depend on feedback. But in solitude, none of that exists. It's just you. And that forces you to stabilize yourself. You learn to sit with your emotions without reacting. You learn to process thoughts without escaping. You learn to calm yourself without needing distractions. That's emotional independence. Now here's the deeper truth. The more comfortable you become alone, the less you need others to feel complete. And that doesn't make you cold. It makes you strong. Because now, you can be around people without losing yourself. You can handle criticism without breaking. You can face rejection without collapsing. You can walk away from toxic situations without fear. Because your stability comes from within, not from others. That's what makes you unshakable. So don't avoid solitude. Use it to train your emotions. Sit with yourself. Understand yourself. Strengthen yourself. Because once you no longer depend on others for your peace, you become free. And freedom is the highest form of power. For point 7, final point. This one will tie everything together and completely change how you see solitude forever. 7. Final point. Solitude is where you build the person you want to become. This is the final truth. And if you truly understand it, everything changes. You don't become powerful in public. You become powerful in private. What people see on the outside is built in moments no one else witnesses. The discipline, the focus, the clarity, all of it is developed in solitude. Marcus Aurelius didn't become mentally strong because of his position. He became strong because of how he trained his mind when he was alone. That's the difference. Because when you're alone, you are not performing. You are not impressing anyone. You are not seeking validation. You are simply becoming. Now here's the deeper truth most people ignore. Your future is being built in your private moments. What you do when no one is watching. How you think when no one is around. How you act when there is no pressure. That is what defines you. If you waste your time in private, you weaken your future. But if you use your solitude wisely, you build power. So here's the shift. Stop seeing solitude as something empty. Start seeing it as your workshop. A place where you shape your mindset, strengthen your discipline, refine your habits. Because every time you choose focus over distraction, growth over comfort, discipline over emotion, you are building a version of yourself that most people will never reach. Now understand this clearly. You don't need more people around you to grow. You need more control within you. And that control is built in silence. So don't fear being alone. Embrace it. Use it. Master it. Because once you learn how to grow in solitude, you carry that strength everywhere you go. And nothing, no noise, no pressure, no distraction, can ever take it away from you. If this video changed how you see being alone, even a little, don't just watch and leave. Subscribe now for more powerful Stoic lessons that will help you build discipline, inner strength, and complete control over your life. Because this channel is not about motivation, it's about transformation. And remember, the world is full of noise, but the strongest minds are built in silence.